This is the Sophia 292 Pro Plus, which means it has dual stabilizers as well as the DropTuner. Here the guitar is tuned in regular E tuning with E here and here on the D string. By flipping the lever from this position to this, it drops this down to D, and that's D. You can float and play in either position and still be there. You can flip it back up to E, and still be there. Any fine adjustment with the range is accomplished with this wrench and a small set screw. Generally speaking, tuning the guitar is easier in D because there's less tension. We use a special grease and mechanism to make it easier. It's almost as easy as these guys, but you can feel a little bit. So you may often find yourself tuning in D and flipping back to E once your setup's complete. This wrench adjusts a set screw that interacts with a lug or a cam so that when you flip into position, this second ring moves back, and you can see a little gap here of about 20 thousandths. That's about all you really need. Flipping back and forth. So if you're doing the setup, you can take it down to E, and by very slight adjustments here, fine-tune the instrument so it matches. Seriously, it's amazing. This small turn can change everything. So here we are at D. And it's slightly off because of that change. Just a few beats. We're focusing on the Sophia Global Tuner Pro, which is a stabilizer system. In a floating tremolo system, the ideal situation is to have the base plate 90 degrees to the riser posts, generally parallel to the body, so that the intonation point is correct at the pitch your strings are meant to be. In a normal floating situation, you'll then adjust your springs so everything is correct. In a global tuner situation, we add one more step to it, and that the length of these contact pins fit against the guitar body in an exact position where a floating tremolo would normally be. In the global tuner setup, you can see that there are 3 springs and a copper-coated spring claw. We include these to improve the electrical continuity, which reduces noise, and the copper here also reduces noise during expansion and compaction of the springs. Here, the global tuner thumb wheel, a lock, and a gap. A gap is necessary so that the thumb wheel can move the position of the secondary spring holder. To obtain the initial setup, you'll take the secondary spring holder and with the supplied tools of a 2mm wrench and a 5mm wrench here, you can thread the contact pin, as you're seeing here, so that it extends or contracts. We use a special reusable thread locker, which will seal the position for a long time. Once that's set up, you're moving so that the two pins hit the body here and here, exactly at the 0 point, where the base plate is parallel 90 degrees to the riser posts. In the assembly, it looks like this. This is your thumb wheel. And in most instances, we suggest giving a minor gap, 20 to 40 thousandths, so that when you're adjusting the final tuning, you're only tuning the whole guitar with a small change of the thumb wheel. So what that means in general is, if I were to take this guitar, put it on a tuner, and the entire instrument's 2 or 3, 5, 10 cents flat or sharp, I can simply flip it over, use the arm to take the tension off the springs, and move this 1/8 of a turn to balance the strings and tremolo back to the initial position. When that happens, the tuning comes together much more quickly. This is the secondary spring holder I've taken out of the assembly. You may want to do it yourself if you have a pretty good idea of what you want it to end up. In this instance, you take the 5mm wrench to the collar of the stabilizer system pin. On the other side, you'll see with the supplied wrench a 2mm wrench. By inserting it here and turning it like a screw, you can see that the pin gets longer extended further out relative than where it was before. You'll see perhaps some red matter there that helps freeze the final position on this. And what you need to do is get each side balanced so that it hits the guitar precisely at the 0 point. The 0 point when the base plate is 90 degrees to the riser post. Once that's accomplished and you have it back in position, you test it. It takes maybe 20 minutes to get it all sorted. The rest of it is putting it back on the guitar, of course, and stringing it up and adjusting your string call position for optimal returns.